How's it going, everybody? This is Dave Meltzer. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours talking pro wrestling. We got Bryan Alvarez, who's only going to be here for the first hour because he's wrestling tonight in Milwaukee, and Milwaukee, Oregon. That is not Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And Bruce Mitchell from Pro Wrestling.
Feels like I'm in Wisconsin.
Is it cold, or is that what you mean, or?
That's just barren.
Oh, okay. And Bruce Mitchell of Pro Wrestling Torch up in about a half an hour. We're going to talk about just today. I wanted to make it a phone call day. So we actually have several lines open. You can call us at 1-800-878-PLAY because this will be the win week. We don't have a guest after having guests for the last couple of weeks, and then we're going to be taking 2 weeks off because the 18th, of course, is Backlash, and the 25th is the Pride Grand Prix, and we'll be talking about both of those subjects in just a moment. Bryan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Of course, Friday night was UFC, and it was quite an interesting show, quite the newsworthy show, and we were both wrong in the main event. And I think brutally wrong.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I've been horrible with predictions lately, and for some reason, like, right before the show started, I just thought, you know what? It's about time that UFC had a good show. And they did.
They did have a good show. Really good.
I also think that means that they're set for 4 bad shows in a row now to make up for it, so we'll see what happens.
I mean,
it was a very exciting main event while it lasted. Actually, not really. The first round was boring, but then it picked up in the second until it was over.
But great crowd.
Oh yeah, the crowd was awesome.
I mean, it was electric.
It was one of those things like without that crowd and without those two guys, it would have been so boring. But because the crowd was so into it, even though they just like circled for an entire round, you were like watching the screen waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
And it wasn't boring. And then Liddell just destroyed him.
Yeah. But you know what? I mean, it was the weirdest thing. I've only seen this twice now, and it's funny because the other one was Quentin Jackson when he fought Vanderlei Silva, where the guy who I thought was going to win, when he walked to the ring, it was like all of a sudden, you know what? He ain't going to win. I mean, when Tito Ortiz came to the ring, it was like it was like there was not a question in my mind, and Chuck as well. When they came to the ring, there was not a question in my mind that I was going to be wrong.
Yeah, because I remember Tito coming to the ring, and he looked kind of sad, maybe is the right word, or I don't know. But I didn't really immediately pick up that he was going to lose.
Yeah.
I just thought, that's an interesting look on his face right there.
I think that, like, when he walked to the ring, it was like, you know, the big mystery was with Tito is that when, you know, all that whole year when he stalled and wouldn't fight Chuck, were those really excuses, or, you know, was he really ready to fight Chuck? And there were, you know, and then the minute, you know, he walked to the ring, it's just like, oh my God, I'm actually here and I have to do this. And I mean, I just think in his mind he couldn't win. We're going to get to the phones in just a second. We're also going to have Bruce Mitchell up in a little while, talking about whatever you guys want to talk about tonight when it comes to pro wrestling or mixed martial arts. Of course, we have the UFC on Friday. We got Pride coming up. We got Backlash coming up on the 18th. We have NWA TNA X Cup. You know, usually when the X Cup comes up, you know, on the Sunday before, since it's a tape show, we're always going like, you know, this is the one to see because it's a guaranteed good show. And this week, I'm going to say, based on what I've heard, this is not the one to see. That the England, Team UK, and Team Mexico had styles clashes. And it didn't work.
I wrote about this a few weeks ago, but I just found it strange that they have a tape show once a month, and they choose to air a certain style of wrestling or whatever you want to call it on those tape shows. And it seems like they have faith in those types of shows selling. So it made me question, why aren't all the shows like that?
Because Jeff Jarrett is...
Well, it was a rhetorical question, but go ahead and answer.
Yeah, I mean, I've written that before. It's Jeff Jarrett is the owner of the company, and, you know, it's going to be a style conducive to Jeff Jarrett is the style they're going to run.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't know if, you know, week after week of nothing but X. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's going to work either.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know, another subject we could talk about today that we forgot about was Rock's movie came out.
Yes, I know. Did not get good reviews.
Huh?
Did not get good reviews.
I actually didn't think it was that bad.
You went to see it?
Yeah, I saw it last night.
Oh, I didn't even know.
And it was really short, like an hour and a half, and probably not as good as The Rundown, but it wasn't like a horrible movie or anything like that. Rock is like a 10 million times better actor than he was in his first movies. And, you know, it was a fun hour and a half, and everyone seemed to enjoy it that I was watching it with. But It is a movie that nobody is going to go see, I think is the best way to explain it. And
it did all right. I mean, it's going to have a $15 million opening weekend.
Yeah, and I think that that will be the only weekend it does even close to that.
Yeah, well, you're probably right.
So, but yeah, I didn't feel like...
In fact, I'm sure you're right.
My 850 or anything like that, so...
Yeah. Shelton Benjamin.
Shelton Benjamin, he beat Triple H.
They pulled the trigger on it. Clean. Great match.
You know, it's almost like there's sometimes when I wish that I didn't know what was going to happen during a match. And usually, like on Monday nights, I can like avoid finding out what the results are for Raw just because I'm watching on the West Coast. But I just happened to get an email saying Shelton beat Hunter, so at least I knew what was going to happen throughout the match, and it may have hurt a little bit. But I can just imagine watching that and not knowing, and my reaction when it actually happened.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from watching it, because I watched it on the East Coast feed, something was up. It was really weird. It was like at the first 2 or 3 minutes of the match, you could see, first of all, because of when it started, you knew they were going long. And I didn't actually expect him to win, but I did expect, Hunter to elevate him and have really make him look good. And he did both.
Yeah. I mean, that was like a really great match with a really great finish. And it was almost like there was someone in the ring other than Triple H. Just 'cause it's something like, you really, like he always says that that's what he's all about, but you never really see it.
Well, he was.
And this was like him trying to really be the real Ric Flair. Not the fake Ric Flair that beats everyone and buries them, but the real Ric Flair who tried to elevate people.
Well, maybe he realized. First, number one, here's the thing, okay? He got beat clean by Benoit, and he wasn't dead, and he wasn't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that maybe, and plus he is with Flair all the time. And, Flair was probably telling him, look, they can't kill you, they can't kill me, and Ric Flair still does jobs for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that Hunter may realize, hey, for all the reasons that we talk about, he's locked into his position, he's always going to be a top guy, so he can make people. And he can keep himself over, and,
And I think part of it might also be that we've seen a lot over, like, the last year and a half, guys losing and getting over bigger because of it. I mean, even Mick Foley at WrestleMania. I mean, Foley lost, and he's the one that left with a standing ovation.
Yeah.
And granted, he's a babyface and everything like that, but, maybe it was a deal where Hunter finally understood that, I want to create a legend for myself, and this is how I'm going to do it.
Well, we will, in about 6 months, we may be real fools for thinking this. Maybe right.
Real fools tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm praying that won't happen, but there is a possibility that tomorrow this will all be...
I'm really curious as to where they put Shelton Benjamin on the pay-per-view, because they've got to put him in a key spot, or if not... Well, I mean, it's going to be Flair and Batista, I'm figuring, against Shelton and somebody, right?
Yeah, or they could move him into the main.
And if we have, then who do Ric Flair and Batista go against?
Well, see, they haven't announced the ladder match part yet.
Yeah.
And they're not going to do a straight three-way against, they just did it. So really, they had this week to decide if they want to do a ladder match or if they want to do a four-way or what they want to do. And they could still do a four-way.
I don't know if a four-way... I mean, a four-way is good I mean, it's good in the sense that it will put Shelton Benjamin in there, but the people will consider him the weak link in that match. They're not ready for him there.
Yeah.
And the other part is in Edmonton, so he can't get over as a babyface because everyone there is going to be going for Benoit.
Yeah.
And it's 3 babyfaces against Hunter, and that's not good odds either.
Yeah.
So
Actually, I would normally argue that they should put a tag team because it would wear them down, but they've done a really good job with the tag belts lately. And it might not hurt them too bad. Because remember we were talking a few weeks ago about the tag belts meant nothing because nobody important had them?
Yeah.
They just totally changed that, like on Monday night when, it's on Flair and Batista now, and Shawn was fighting for him and everything. And
you know something like, and this goes back to WCW, that when WCW belt meant nothing, when Flair would get it for, during that Russo insanity, when Flair would get it for his 1 week, for that week the belt meant something.
Yeah.
And then he would lose it to Jarrett or Booker, whomever, and it didn't mean anything again. And the rating would go up. There's something about Ric Flair holding a belt.
I don't know if it is Ric Flair, but it's also that, like in the old days, you could put the belt on somebody and it would make somebody. And now it's almost like if you put the belt on the wrong guy, it kills the belt instead of making the guy.
Absolutely. And we've seen that with the Intercontinental belt over the years.
Yeah.
That, when the Intercontinental belt is not on a good guy, it really doesn't mean, or the U.S. title.
Well, just look at like the tag titles this week when I can't remember who Michael's team was. Michaels and Benoit. That's
of course. Yeah, they had a good
Michaels
match.
and Benoit against Flair and Batista. Like the heat for that match, even though part of it was all stars in there, but the people cared when the belt changed hands. Whereas 4 weeks ago when you had two, I don't want to say nobody teams, but guys not at that level, it was like a tag title match, and if the belts changed hands, people would cheer because they saw something in their town. Not like they actually cared about anything happening. And on Monday night, when Michaels and Benoit won the belts, it was like the people cared, like it was great. And then they were angry when it got switched on. So I think there's something to be said about putting the belts on people that people care about.
By the way, last night was the first WWE show ever in Mexico, in Monterrey, which was, and they did very well. Good crowd. Really hot show from what I understand. The Raw shows have been getting great reviews. SmackDown, on the other hand,
has been killed.
SmackDown, this week, I just had no interest in watching that show.
Yeah.
They need some talent on that side, and that switching of people, it was good. They really went somewhere with Benjamin. They're obviously trying to go somewhere with Rene Dupree and some of the other guys, but SmackDown just got, Booker T. There's something. It was missing.
I thought there was something good about him calling it the minor league and this and that, but it's almost been said so much now that it's hurting it.
I think it's funny because SmackDown, up until a few weeks ago, SmackDown almost every week would have more viewers than Raw. The last 2 weeks it hasn't been the case. But I still think that there's a perception that Raw is the hot show. Because, Raw tickets usually sell better than SmackDown tickets. And this, the only time it really wasn't the case was when SmackDown was so much better than Raw. All things being equal, I don't know, the name Raw means more than the name SmackDown. And now, when Raw's the better show, SmackDown really has come the minor league.
Well, the thing also with Raw is, I think that even if SmackDown had, better matches, match quality top to bottom, I think Raw is still the show that people see as having the stars. Yeah. And as much as people, on the internet and insider fans and everything talk about how important match quality and everything is, there is a lot to be said for the people that the casual fan considers stars.
Star power has always been the case because, you remember when WCW and WWF were having the big feud,
it was stars.
It was star power that they were fighting over. No. Yeah, it wasn't match quality. Match quality was nice in the underneath matches, but ultimately it was, who had the most star power was going to win.
People were buying shows for the main eventers, and the main eventers were having horrible matches.
Yeah.
As far as, the casual fans, they were buying it for Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper, and everybody knew they were going to have a horrible match, but people kept buying.
Yeah. The other thing we have not talked about is NWA TNA negotiating with Fox Sports Net, and the negotiations are clearly very serious at this point. Yeah. I don't know if it's a done deal, but there are people in the company thinking that it's close. Having been in
I've heard that before, but there are a lot more indications this time.
Yeah. Still, having been involved with TV negotiations, believe me, until that contract is signed, you don't count on anything.
I would almost say till it's on the air.
Yeah. Well, I guess so. Well, until they make the announcement.
Yeah. Well...
No, because they made the announcement of Hulk Hogan before they had the contract signed, and we've seen...
I was going to say they made the announcement that they bought WCW, too.
That was different. That was unique, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People to this day still make fun of me over a headline that I wrote during that period, which was, "It's official, Bischoff buys WCW."
Well...
It was my fault.
They did make the announcement.
Yeah, it was official, supposedly.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember do you remember the press conference and everything?
Yeah.
I remember listening to the press conference, and they were, and they were kind of listening.
Eric came on our show, and he was giving us 45 million different things about what he was going to do now that he owned it.
Every week, that's right. Eric was coming on the show with all the different plans, and...
all the right things to say, too, I'd like to note.
Yeah. Eric is so charismatic. That's the one thing you have to say for him. He's so charismatic. Did you ever watch you watch that DVD yet?
No.
My War DVD.
I'm taking my time.
It's good. It's good. Also, if you're looking for the latest in wrestling news, go to www.wrestlingobserver.com. We have daily updates as well as info on how to get Figure 4 Weekly that Bryan puts out every week and Wrestling Observer that I put out every week. This week's issue of the Observer is going to be a good one because there's I think there's going to be some stuff breaking in the next couple of days, hopefully.
Uh-oh.
Nah, I got a sense some things are breaking. And anyway, they'll be in this week's issue if they broke. And even if not, I got a lot written already between the UFC, Tim Sylvia, the stuff with Steve Austin, the stuff with the Rock.
And something we have not talked about, the plane flight.
The plane flight from hell, lawsuit there. I'll have more on that, too, this week, for sure. A lot more on that. So anyway, it's going to be a pretty interesting issue. Actually, last week's issue I really liked last week's issue. Let's go start to Jonathan in Savannah. Jonathan, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not too much.
I guess I don't really have too many questions, but I guess my first question is about, I'm assuming on Smack after watching it this week that they're going to go with Cena versus Dupree.
Yes, they are going with that.
Is that I'm just curious if that's a bad move in your opinion, as seeing as how, like, you're trying to elevate the young guys, and having the young guy versus another young guy. When on Raw, you have Orton getting to wrestle Mick Foley to get him over, and no one's really reciprocated for Cena there on SmackDown to put him over.
Well, Big Show.
Well, yeah, but Big Show versus, take the casual fan of who they prefer over,
No.
Who they look at, who's a bigger star, Big Show or Mick Foley.
Oh, yeah, well, there's no question there.
I mean, like, I'm not assuming Undertaker's even going to, step up to the plate, but,
He's not going to step up to that plate if you're talking about that, no.
No, he's not.
Undertaker is destroying everyone right now.
Yeah. And I think, I noticed, what you guys were talking about earlier about, I was always, a big, lately, more of looking forward to SmackDown more so than Raw, and these past couple of weeks, especially this past week, I was like you, I actually had taped it, and I was on fast forward, a whole lot more than I normally am. And that this Bradshaw push is, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
That has got to be one of the weirdest ways to push a horrible feud that I've ever seen. At the end of the show with the hat.
Yeah.
The feud, it's like something that nobody's going to want to pay to see in the first place, and that's how they build it up. He ruined his hat.
Well, plus, here's the other thing, too. A new heel that needs help, you don't already do the comedy thing where he gets humiliated the second week in.
Yeah.
Aside from the fact that, even if they did it right, you're still stuck with, at the end of the day, you've got Eddie Guerrero against John Layfield as a match on a main event on a pay-per-view, and, that's just not going to cut it. Eddie Guerrero, is one of the great workers of our time, but, it's still not going to cut.
He's not the best at carrying, really.
He's not the best at carrying, and I don't even know that the best at carrying is going to be able to get 15 minutes out of John Layfield. John Layfield's really going to have to show something in the ring, which I haven't seen, and out of the ring, which I haven't seen on that either.
Do you think if after their match at the next pay-per-view for SmackDown that the Bradshaw push will subside and he's getting the blatant Billy Gunn A-Train
Bob Holly push?
Yeah, Bob Holly push. Or are they gonna
I would say no because who are the heels?
That's true.
That's the problem right there. You don't have any. They really. I'll tell you what. There's a lot of talent left at the same time, and that's never good when it's that much talent leaving at the same time. And it's and the other thing is, Kurt Angle out of the ring really hurts that show because you don't have Kurt Angle wrestling match.
Yeah.
And Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle, at least that's Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle was at least a main event feud. Now and Booker, I don't see Booker as a main event feud with Eddie Guerrero either.
I see him. Well, yeah, I agree with that. I see him more so than Bradshaw. At least
it's kind of funny because they brought Booker in, and it was almost like that was the direction they were going, and all of a sudden here comes Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, I tell you what, it was funny because I was home Thursday night, taped the show, and I didn't watch it till Friday. Late Friday. Usually, I watch this stuff religiously when it's on, and on Friday, the whole day I'm just going
I gotta watch this show at some point.
And I was in no hurry. For me, I like wrestling, and when Monday 6 o'clock comes around, I will admit many times last year when Monday 6 o'clock came around, I go, this is work. But lately, when Monday 6 o'clock comes around, it's like, this is entertainment. I'm going to have fun. And SmackDown for a long time has been, okay, SmackDown Thursday night. I can't wait for 8. And, this time it was just like, oh, my God,
Tape it.
And what's there to see? What's there to see? There's nothing I want to see there. I've seen the old Undertaker. I saw him at WrestleMania. I don't need to see him again, although he hasn't been on the radio show anyway. I mean, Eddie was great, but he's got no opponent. Rey Mysterio is great. He's got no opponent. Kurt Angle, I don't like his GM, so I guess I'm complaining about that. Anything else, John?
No, that's it.
All right.
Thanks.
Wow. We're complaining a lot. Now we got Bruce Mitchell.
He managed to find a role for Kurt Angle where he could be not entertaining.
I know. Bruce.
That takes some talent.
Bruce, how are you doing today?
Doing just fine.
That's good. Bruce, what's your thoughts on all of this?
I think they've got problems with SmackDown. I mean, I think they don't have the depth of a roster, and John Layfield, people aren't going to take seriously. It's pretty boring. I keep watching that thinking, boy, it's too bad that Ted DiBiase isn't playing that role in his prime, because I mean, he doesn't have the real life factors that John Layfield does. But boy, that would be a heck of a feud, Eddie Guerrero and the $1 Million Man. I mean, it works on so many different levels, but it doesn't work with Bradshaw. And I will say this: I recognize the hat angle. I mean, I was surprised they did the comedy so close, but the hat angle from someone's been watching the Mid-Atlantic tapes again. With or reading about that, and I have a feeling I know who that is since Triple's such an aficionado. But that's an old, tear up the heels hat. Or tear up the babyface's hat who, had the celebrity give it to him. That's an old...
Oh, yeah. The Dusty Rhodes hat or the Wahoo McDaniel headdress?
Or the Wahoo McDaniel headdress or something. That angle is old as the hills.
Yeah, I know, it's Bradshaw.
Yeah.
See, to me, the Bradshaw...
I don't think it was great. I don't think it was... Because it's Bradshaw. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
Like, the Bradshaw thing to me is almost like Ming. Or, like, they're taking the fact that he really did write a book and all this other stuff to try to make him into a top heel, but nobody cares.
Well, it wasn't a book that was popular, and a lot of their guys have written... Matt Hardy wrote a book that people actually bought.
Yeah.
And Lita wrote a book that some people bought, and that was a good book. Actually,
his book is about making money, and I think that, like, nobody believes that he's really worth millions and millions of dollars.
Well, I don't know if he's worth millions and millions, but he's, I think he's done very well.
Yeah. But, I mean, nobody believes that he's making as much as they're trying to put on.
Yeah, okay, right, yeah.
With this book angle and everything else, and it's just like where everybody always pushed Ming because he was really tough, but A, nobody knew, and B, nobody cared.
Okay, Bruce, and Bryan as well. Obviously, I just picked up the front page of the paper we have here, and steroids are on the front page of the main news section, and it's been like that for a long time because of the baseball and the Barry Bonds allegations and Balco and all that, and especially in this area, but it's a huge nationwide story. And Tim Sylvia, of course, testing positive for steroids in the UFC, and actually, this was the most interesting thing. It's kind of it was kind of a sleazy cover up there because I guess Sylvia, tested 3 weeks ago positive, and they just kept it quiet until like 2 days before the show, and they tried to get another test in and get him clean, and the test didn't come back on time, and he didn't fight, and they had to switch the card, and it was just quite strange.
It is quite strange. That's quite the gamble, I would think. I mean, unless you knew something, that's just, I'm speculating there, but I mean, that's quite the gamble to take, that you could just hold it off for 3 weeks and he's going to turn around and come up positive. I wonder why they thought that, and it didn't sound, I didn't see the show, but it certainly didn't sound like they felt like they handled it real well.
They were. I would say that they were sort of honest coming out. I mean, they opened the show and Dana White came out and explained and I think he used the word steroids, didn't he, Bryan, or did he just say? Because I know in the press release they never used the word steroids because they used what do they call it, like a performance enhancing something or other.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact term he used, but I know that when I heard it, he might as well have said steroids if he didn't. Yeah,
it was just, but he came out at the beginning of the show. But there's almost like a thing that I think that's really weird, and it's the lack of knowledge of it, and it's really become clear, across the board, because everyone is trying to say that this drug, Winstrol, that he took, he did it for cosmetic purposes, and it was not going to give him a competitive edge, when in fact it does increase your strength, and therefore it gives you a competitive edge.
Yeah.
Now, that was for the fight with Gan McGee months ago, and the idea was that the steroids from months and months ago were still in the system, and it's possible, but it's also possible that he took them again.
Well, here's the thing that I was thinking was, okay, this could all be true, and there were trace amounts, and they figured in 3 more weeks those trace amounts might be gone, which was why they're going to test him. But at the same time, they probably should have made a statement right when he tested positive.
Yeah.
Exactly. I can understand wanting to wait 3 weeks and try again, because if he was telling the truth, then maybe after 3 weeks they would have been gone.
Okay, but here's the thing. If he took, let's just say that he's got a weird body. He took them, whatever it was, 8-9 months ago, right?
That is a long time.
And they test positive. Why would 3 weeks make a difference if you're not, you know what I'm saying? Why would you?
Well, I think that the reason was, I can't remember the exact numbers, but you're allowed 30, and he was at like 55 or something. So
yeah, I don't know. I think that's what they were saying. I'm not.
Yeah, that was their excuse. So I don't know if that's accurate or what the deal is, but 8 months sounds like a long time.
Yeah, I don't know. That was just a very strange deal there. Anyway, we are going to go to the calls. We're going to go to Alan in Deerfield Beach, Florida. Alan, what's going on?
Hey, Dave. How's it going?
It's going pretty good.
I wanted to ask you about the article that was in a newspaper and The Rock said about top guys being jealous. Is he alluding to Triple H or who?
I assume so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know that as a fact, but I assume that, yes. I mean, they've had words before.
Mm-hmm.
And they've had kind of an underlying rivalry. I mean, they were like Triple H was kind of ahead of The Rock,
mm-hmm.
and they kind of went up together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and but Triple H was. If you remember, Triple H put The Rock over for the Intercontinental title, and Triple H was way better than The Rock at the time.
Right.
And then they had that ladder match where they both kind of became, it was a big breakthrough match for both guys.
Right.
And then in 2000, which was like the great year, for WWE, they were the two guys back and forth. Rock was really a bigger star, but Triple H was a superstar as well.
Right.
And then Rock all of a sudden became this, mega star, and Triple H became, lesser of a wrestling star. And, now is Triple H kind of coming back as a wrestling star, and he's going to Hollywood. I mean, John Milius is interested in the guy. I mean, it's like, he does have a guy, it's not just, that he happens to be the son-in-law of Vince McMahon.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the egos are clashing, or they never liked each other, or what?
I don't know, as far as never liked each other, but there's the natural ego clash, and,
yeah.
But, I know before when Rock has made some comments
mm-hmm.
about that it was Triple H that he was talking about.
Mm-hmm. And what about Goldberg? Is he looking to come back?
I don't think so. In fact, right now I will say, right now he is not looking to come back. I mean, he may at some point, but now no. Right.
And last thing, I have a question. I read something on a website about Paul Jones and Blackjack Mulligan getting into a shoot of some sort, that a match turned into a shoot. I think Oliver Humperdinck said so. Is there any credence to that?
I wouldn't even know. I mean, Bruce, have you ever heard this?
I've never heard that. They wrestled a million times, so it's certainly possible. But
well,
I don't know.
Blackjack Mulligan. I mean, he was kind of, I don't know if bully's the right word, but he was a tough guy, and I mean, he hit people.
He could hold his own with Bill Eadie. I know that, and Eadie's in Japan and wrestled a strong style, so.
Yeah, and Ole admits that, not too many people would mess with Ole, and Mulligan did.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Mulligan was a huge guy. I mean, I remember Mulligan beating up Adnan Casey, and Adnan Casey was world-class wrestler.
Backstage or what?
It was on a tour, years and years ago, but it was I mean, it wasn't in the ring or anything. It was got in a backstage fight. I think Adnan Casey may have been booking a tour, and Mulligan, I don't know what the problem was, but Mulligan was a tough guy. I mean, I don't know if Paul Jones was a tough guy or not. I'm not really that familiar with that aspect of Paul Jones. So, but Paul Jones was not a big guy at all, and Mulligan was a real big guy. So I don't.
I remember, one of the things, looking back on those matches, that Mulligan had to drop down sort of to his knees or crouch down to be able to take Paul Jones's offense. So I mean, he was much bigger than Paul Jones. It was kind of an issue when those two guys would feud, that the babyface was almost too small to be in there. Be in there back in that day.
Mm-hmm. But you don't know if it ever got really, out of hand.
I mean, it very well may have. I just don't know that story.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. Okay, that's an interesting one. Paul Jones and Blackjack Mulligan. That's your childhood.
Yes, it is.
I'll tell you something, Bruce. You in Mid-Atlantic. What is, I think, and of course they had that convention there a couple months ago. I think that there is something, and I don't know what it is, about the Mid-Atlantic. I mean, WWF, okay? WWF, I think that there is still people interested in the history, like your Don Morocco's and Jimmy Snuka's, because they were the last surviving company, so those fans never had, you know what I mean?
Right.
So the fan, but Mid-Atlantic is the other one, where most of the other companies, I mean, realistically, I don't know that many people are, what's what I'm looking for? Here, the remaining fans of Roy Shire's wrestling, I mean, they're probably like less than 100. You know what I mean?
Right.
Mid-Atlantic, I mean, if you did that convention here in San Francisco and brought, all the old legends, unfortunately, a lot of them have passed away, but if you did that, I mean, nobody would come. And in Mid-Atlantic, it was a huge success. They're going to do another one, and, people talk about that era with such reverence. And I mean, it was a better, it was a great, for the era, it was a great period of wrestling. I remember watching Mid-Atlantic tapes in the late 70s and early 80s. It was a great company.
Well, one thing I'd say is I was surprised, and my roots are back to Mid-Atlantic. I'm certainly a big fan of that era, but I was surprised that it did as well as it did. But I would say that kind of what you're saying with the WWF was the last surviving promotion, so there's that unbroken chain, and still, there's that unbroken chain with Mid-Atlantic in the form of one person, and that's Ric Flair. That people can see, people that followed Ric Flair, he still was a major deal, and he was, Mid-Atlantic guy. So I think that's part of it. And also, I think WCW, the fans here saw WCW as the natural, as much as they stuck it to us, as the natural outgrowth of Jim Crockett Promotions. So you had that thing where, and not that many promotions, very few of the territories did well in the 80s, and there was that point where Jim Crockett was doing real well in the 80s with the Dusty stuff. So I think those things together kind of kept it alive longer than the other territories. Yeah,
you're right about that because they were still a hot territory, with when IMTA and Rock and Roll Express and all that, and that was after pretty much most of the territories had crashed and burned.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's part of it. And yeah, Ric Flair. So Ric Flair. When was the first time you actually saw Ric Flair wrestle?
The first time I actually saw Ric Flair wrestle, I saw him wrestle Gene Anderson, I believe in 1979 or so, and the deal was, I wanted to see him with Buddy Rogers, and I missed the Buddy Rogers thing, but the deal was if Flair lost, if Flair couldn't put the figure 4 on Gene Anderson in 30 minutes, that he would get his head shaved. And I was so dumb that I believed I had a chance to see a guy get his head shaved. That's one of the reasons.
Well, I mean, you would have had a guy, just not that guy.
Right. So, I specifically went to see Ric Flair, and I started watching because of Flair, so that's, blame it on him.
Yeah.
When's the first time you saw Flair naked in a robe dancing on an airplane?
I've been on an airplane with Ric Flair.
Wow.
I never have either.
So there you are.
Yeah. I've never seen the show. Somebody, I don't know.
Something to look forward to, I guess.
I guess.
I don't know, God.
I don't know either. We are going to go to Raphael in Winnipeg. Raphael, what's going on?
Hey, Dave. First time caller, long time listener. How's it going?
It's going really good.
Okay, are they going to do a Bret Hart DVD, and is Bret going to be a part of it? Because they showed that confidential match last night.
I know it's been talked about. It's not finalized. I mean, I read somewhere, I read on a website, I don't remember which one, that they were doing it in November, and Bret doesn't know it, but I mean, it's been talked about. I expect that they'll do it, at some point, but I don't know that it's finalized, and when. Will Bret be a part of it? That's a real interesting thing.
Commentaries and stuff, like they do with Flair.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Flair's employee.
What?
Flair's the employee.
Flair. Well, everyone that they've done is employee, or with Bret, it's such a weird thing, because of what happened. I don't know. I don't know if he would be doing it. I think he would really like to do it, but I don't know that he could bring himself to do it.
Does he have access to the Stampede stuff, and could they use that, or?
I know that he would want to.
Oh, okay.
Bret, I think Bret in his mind, maybe like one of the matches with Dynamite Kid, maybe he would have.
So like the Bad News Ladder match, or?
Dynamite Kid
invented it?
Maybe the Dynamite. He didn't invent it. Dan Crawford invented the ladder match.
Oh well, they did before Shawn.
Bret's the one who brought the idea over because they'd been doing it in Stampede Wrestling.
Right.
Yeah. As far as Brett, no, I think that if you ask Brett his best matches, the Stampede matches really wouldn't be there. Not that he wouldn't think they were good matches, but I think that if you're going to look at his best matches, he's going to they're all going to be WWF. I can't even come up with. He had a good match with Flair. He had a great match with Booker once.
Been a trivia match there.
That one he probably would win because I know that he considers that his last great match. So.
And is Johnny Devine coming back to TNA or?
If they have a Team Canada.
No, just Johnny because they marked for him.
If they have another Team Canada thing, I think he's in. But as far as on his own, no? I haven't heard his name mentioned.
And,
no.
Real quick, who was Blitzkrieg back in the day? WCW.
Oh God, I forgot his name. Do you remember his name, Brian? Jeremiah Ross?
Jeremiah Ross, yeah.
Jeremiah Ross.
Is he around or?
No, he quit wrestling. He got a bunch of injuries, and he quit and got a regular job. I think he made the right move because
he was phenomenal.
He was phenomenal, but when WCW got bought, he wouldn't have had a prayer.
Oh, yeah, true.
They don't want, his style is exactly what WWE doesn't want, a very lucha-oriented style. Okay?
Thanks a lot, Dave.
Okay, you're very welcome. Okay, and Bryan is going to be leaving in about 2 minutes because he's wrestling. Do you know who you're wrestling tonight?
Jesse Jr. I actually know my opponent for once.
And what do you know about him?
He's been wrestling for about a year and a half, and he's really good for a year and a half, so I'm happy.
Yeah, good. What's been going on as far as, Jack Evans went to TNA and he credited you as his teacher.
Yes.
Tell us about when you first met Jack Evans.
I met him when he was up here training with ICW, and he just had so much athletic ability, and he was a backyard wrestler. And I was afraid he was going to actually die, and that's not even a joke. I thought that he was going to kill himself. And so I sort of tried to not so much train him, but try and just show him how to do a match without killing yourself and saving the high spots for the end. And I had a couple of matches with him, and he stayed there for probably about 6 or 7 months, and then went to Calgary for mat rep, and that was pretty much the last I heard from him. Emailed him a couple of times, but yeah, that was that.
All right, Bryan, good luck tonight. We will talk to you next week. Hopefully by next week we will have we can talk about the Pride Grand Prix.
That's right.
Because it's only a couple weeks away, and we don't have clue what the matches are going to be. Bruce.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. 2 years from now, predictions about pro wrestling. 3 years from now, future of pro wrestling.
That's really interesting. I think that we're going to have in the United States, we're going to have this one company, and because I still think that WWE has set the bar so high as what the casual, TV watching wrestling fan thinks is pro wrestling. They think it's this huge, production that if you're pro wrestling, that you've got pyro, that you've got music, that you've got, cutting edge production values. And so I don't know that we're going to have anybody else want to ante up, any other television company want to ante up at the price it would take to do that. So I think there's still in 2 years going to be a lot riding on the McMahon family and on WWE. Now if WWE catches lightning in a bottle again with a Rock and a Steve Austin, and I think that this could be in really good shape. I think that it's going to be around.
They're going to be around.
I think they've proven that they're canny enough business people. I think that they can, they can adjust their business up and down as to what kind of revenue streams they're getting, and that's a lot more than any of the other territorial people or any of the other national companies have been able to do. But I think it's just a matter of waiting around for a hot star to come in, and I think they're impeded by the fact that people that are on top want to stay on top and have a political pull to make sure that it's going to be very difficult to shoot that new hot star right to the top.
Okay, do you know internally in the company who they're talking about as the new hot star?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, it's John Cena, and I was wondering your thoughts on that.
I don't see it. He's young enough and he's a good enough talker that things could change and he could become that. But I think right now they've got a high level of work rate, and he's an entertaining guy, but I don't think he connects on a level that the next top stars do. But you can see those top stars a lot of times, to me, coming. After Rock got through the Rocky Sucks phase of his career, he definitely was a comer, and certainly so was Austin. And I mean, those are two real high levels to look at. But I think, I just think there's some changes that with Cena that kind of need to be made. I think he's a star, but I just don't see him as that much farther a star. And the other thing, I don't buy that you're going to have a star that rhymes all the time.
Yeah,
that's a gimmick. That's not a money. To me, that's not the money thing. That's not something that people are going to connect to all the time. And he's had a difficult time with being a babyface.
Yeah, we're going to start with Dave in New York City. David, what's going on?
Hey, good evening, Dave. How you doing?
Doing really good.
Okay, I'd like to bring up actually one short point before my major point, which would be that actually I think the win over Hunter on Raw was telegraphed by Lawler, and if it was anyone but Hunter in the match, I think it would have been clear that Shelton was going over, because Lawler kept saying probably about 5 to 10 times that there's no way that Benjamin can win the match, which I think I usually take as a clear indication.
That is, when the heel color commentator says that, because Taz was doing that, it really bothered me. What match was that? Eddie Guerrero and Brock Lesnar, right? Where Taz kept saying over and over, "There's no way Eddie Guerrero could win," and I'm going,
pay-per-view, exactly.
Yeah, when Eddie won the title, because I remember thinking that same thing. It's just like, why are you telling us he's going to win?
It's almost like whenever you get a finishing move and the announcer says, "Oh, it's definitely over," you know at that instant it's not.
Yeah.
And I think they should kind of change that format at this point. The other thing I wanted to bring up, I think, is a little more important, and it relates to the Guerrero and Bradshaw main event Backlash. And I'm wondering if...
It's a Judgment Day.
Yeah, okay, Judgment Day, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that there looks to be some kind of a sabotage, perhaps, aimed at Guerrero, because this is not going to do anything of a buy rate. And then I could foresee the blame being placed on Guerrero and not where it should be with Bradshaw, when you could have had a program lasting until SummerSlam with Booker T. Let's say give Booker T the title at Judgment Day, have Eddie chase after it until SummerSlam, maybe bring in Shawn Michaels as a heel after SummerSlam after his programs are done, and let him feud with Guerrero and maybe Cena. I mean, there's so many things that could have been done, and this just seems like the lamest gimmick and the lamest main event meant to perhaps sabotage Eddie's reign.
I don't think that they're in the position that they want to sabotage anyone. I think that you're right that it's going to sabotage him, and I just hope that Kurt Angle gets healthy enough to where this is when this program is over and this pay-per-view is over, Eddie just beats him, and they can get Kurt Angle back running with Eddie Guerrero.
I think the other thing too is I've been just watching Booker T. I don't know that Booker T is physically ready or in mental shape to really is looking to be a top heel right now, or a top guy in the promotion. I mean, he has been in the past, but he's been in tag matches for a long time, and he hasn't really put on any kind of performance that made you think that he was about to etch up his game a little bit. So I mean, I think I don't know that they have that many other options. I certainly agree with both of you that Layfield, I can't see how that's going to work. But I mean, SmackDown is just really talent depleted right now.
And it's not, again, and this is all stuff that was thrown at them because they lost Angle and they lost Lesnar, immediately, right at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brock Lesnar's absence is really hurting them, and Kurt Angle, I mean, obviously. And
the fact that they switched Benoit, because those two guys left. So you've got, I mean, that's almost, I don't want to say it's like when the Radicals left WCW. In fact, but in a sense, it's even stronger because they were higher up on the card. But you took the wrestling show, and then you took the wrestlers out of the wrestling show. Yeah, that's right. And now they've got, now really they've got that one, Eddie, and, that's not enough. That's nowhere near enough. And they got Ray, but Ray's a different position, and he's not going to face Eddie, although they had a good match on TV a few weeks ago.
It was a great match. I think it was almost as good as WrestleMania Angle match with Eddie. Yeah. Well, this year's, I'll tell you what, this year's had a lot of great TV matches with, the Helmsley Benjamin, the, Shawn Michaels Chris Benoit match was tremendous. The, Hunter Shawn match, but I guess that would have been, that might have been December 30th or something, right? The match in San Antonio? Yeah. No, not the pay-per-view match, but the San Antonio match. That was a great match. And then obviously the new style match, that was the beginning, I think. Right. And then the Brock Lesnar Eddie Guerrero match was very good. I think that the triple threat match at Mania might have been the best of all. I think it was the best of all so far. Absolutely. Yeah. It's one of the best main events, I think, in WrestleMania history. It's got top 5 with
Let's see.
You don't think so?
No, I'm not. I'm thinking. Let's see. The best WrestleMania actual main event on the show.
I would say top 5 WrestleMania matches of all time.
Let's see. It might have been the best main event of all because Savage Steamboat was the main event. Bret and Owen wasn't the main event. Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon wasn't the main event. And Bret Hart and Steve Austin really was the main event, but the build main event on that show was Undertaker and Sid. So I think that it probably was the best main event on a WrestleMania.
Where do you think it fits in generally?
It's so hard.
Too early?
Not too early. I mean, it's already happened. I liked it. I guess my favorite is Bret and Austin, which when we did the poll was the one that won. And what was second in the poll? It was Savage and Steamboat. I think it was as good as Savage and Steamboat. I think that if I watched it now, I would think it would be better than Savage and Steamboat, but that's probably unfair because, styles change and you can't, and it's 15, 17 years later. So, I think it's one of the Bret and Owen, the ladder match. I love the ladder match the day it happened. I will say that match because, it wouldn't hold up now because of, because we've seen more and better when it comes to that. But the uniqueness of that first Shawn Michaels Razor ladder match, I would say, I agree with you. It's probably one of the top 5 Mania matches of all time.
And I was blown away by that ladder match too. I was actually there that night, and
the Garden.
It was outrageous.
Yeah.
I was the only one in the section cheering for Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Little kids were there looking at me very strangely.
You know the joke about that one, right? Scott Hall got a reputation from that match for being a great worker. And the joke is that Scott Hall happened to be in the ring when Shawn Michaels had a match with a ladder.
Next time it could be the broom.
Yeah. Thank God that Vince Russo is not running WCW this week because he would do that. He would have somebody wrestle a room because people say that.
I'm surprised he never thought of it earlier.
I'm sure he didn't think of it. If he thought it, we'd have seen it.
We could have seen the match. Could have been a pay-per-view match for the time.
Probably would have been Ferrara that wrestled the broom too.
The broom could have gone over.
The broom would have gone over.
All right, guys. I appreciate the time.
Okay, thanks very much, Dave.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go to Sean in Ottawa. Sean, what's going on?
Not too much. Yourself?
Doing real good.
Okay, well, I was going to ask a little bit about the SmackDown roster. I'm wondering in terms of placement for Booker T to bring him in, and I noticed a little bit of a subtle reference at the end, kind of a pause, and then said, and I'm better than Undertaker. Is that leading to him getting fed to Undertaker at Judgment Day? I mean, is this heel push going to stop before it even gets going?
I think you fed Undertaker Judgment Day, yes. I don't know that as a fact, but that's what they're doing at the house shows, and that's usually a setup for what they're going to do in the pay-per-view.
Don't you think it would be a good idea to kind of switch roles with Booker and Bradshaw in that case? It might be a little bit better place.
Well, I think that they should put Big Show in there with Undertaker.
Yeah.
Because that way you're not really wasting anyone. Because and then
is Show going to go out for surgery now? Coming up anytime soon?
I'll check on that. Last I heard he wasn't because everybody was depleted. And he's working the you know what? I don't think he's working this weekend. Did he? He didn't work last night in Mobile. They put Bradshaw on there. So
he was on SmackDown though, eh?
Yeah. But if he's going to do it, I think that they'll do an angle on TV. So when you see the angle on TV, I think that'll constitute when he's leaving for the surgery.
Now, what's the sense of seeing John Cena, the next big star, right, and then leaving him on SmackDown with Eddie, who they see as their, kind of top guy they're going to try to promote the show around? It seems almost like you're putting two guys you see future on one show. Whereas they could.
Oh, but you need more than that. I mean, if anything, they have to few guys, not too many top guys.
In terms of faces, though, right? Like you have Randy Orton on the other show, and he's on a show with the top heel. And then you have the two top guys you think of seeing as faces on SmackDown. It seems a little bit mixed up.
Yeah, but I mean, they have Benoit, and they have Shawn, and
Shawn's not going to turn?
Maybe he will. I mean, he's going to be a heel in Edmonton anyway.
Oh yeah, well I figured that, and then you kind of set up a rematch. How long is Triple H supposed to be gone for?
I don't know. But the thing is that, let's see, they'll be doing, after this one, they'll be doing the next pay-per-view would be in June, so he's got 2 months. So he could easily be done with the movie in 2 months.
They'll be doing tape vignettes where he's going to pay someone to take a Benoit now, I bet.
Yeah, remember that?
The one thing about it, when they say he's going to go, or when he's got these movies, he does seem to work himself in more than you'd expect and show up more than you expect, even more than tape vignettes. I mean, he doesn't seem to take leave of absence.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is that because of the WWE movie, I mean, they could give the guy a Monday off.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like it's somebody else's movie where, you know, he's going to have to be there.
Is there any plans to give Orton the belt, or is it going back to Triple H?
Not this soon, no. I mean, it's it'll be with Triple H before the end of the year. We know whenever he thinks it's right, and I don't know that he'll be greedy about it. I think that it's just when he thinks it'll be right, it's going to be back with him.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, one of the things that was announced about a week ago was WWE 24/7 trying to make utilization of the old tapes, and not just old WWF tapes, but the old, Mid-Atlantic tapes that they have, the old Smoky Mountain tapes, ECW tapes, Georgia tapes, or WCW tapes, some Georgia tapes, and what was the other one that they got? AWA. I don't know if I said that already, but
I mean, I think there's a certain market for it. I mean, I'm real interested in them doing that, but I think they would need to get somebody in there or get a staff in there that really knows something about, each of those territories and each of those promotions, and would good enough to do the type of job that they did on the Ric Flair Ultimate DVD collection and on the Mick Foley collection. And I don't know that they have that, and I don't know that it's worth getting in a staff and that it would cost to do that. So I'm real interested to see how this works out. I'm hoping it works out.
Obviously, the plan down the line would be to do a digital TV channel. 24 hours of footage, and they got so much footage. Then again, I mean, there's so many TV stations. I mean, I look at, when I look at all these TV stations, I'm wondering, does anyone watch?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know that anyone would, I would like to see, an AWA show or what, with all those old tapes, but I don't know that I'm their typical audience. In fact, I know I'm not. So, would anybody watch? But on the other hand, there's 300 television stations with all kinds of things. I wonder why people watch. So, it seemed like very, very marketed, targeted, small audiences. So, I don't know, but I think there's something to be said for if they were doing, that you could order certain things on pay-per-view that they, on this immediate, this instant pay-per-view stuff that you have on digital satellite that it might work. So. Well,
I mean, the one thing on that is the cost of if you just put stuff up that you could order. I mean, the cost of that is probably not all that large.
Right.
So anyway, let's go to Guy in Ladera Ranch, California. Guy, what's going on?
Not so much. How you guys doing?
Doing really good.
I just had a couple questions about some old WWF angles, and if you guys happen to remember the specific angles that turned Roddy Piper face in '86 and Randy Savage babyface in '87.
Roddy Piper was really the Mr. T match where he was supposed to heel and everybody cheered him, and then they kind of just went with him as a. Did they do an angle after that? I just remember. I mean, that's how I remember it. Was he was getting cheered in that match, and then he came out of WrestleMania. He was basically a babyface.
Well, he was feuding with, wasn't he feuding with Paul Orndorff? And in the time that he was gone, Orndorff had turned heel. So maybe he was there feuding. It's just one was the heel and one was the face.
That could happen, but I mean, I remember that the move was made because he got cheered at Mania against Mr. T in the second WrestleMania.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't think there was any specific turn on him. I mean, I don't remember it that way. I mean, I remember that the audience kind of took to him, and then they just went on. He would always disappear to renegotiate his contract, and then he came back and he was a babyface.
That's right, because he took off after that WrestleMania.
Right.
Yeah, he took off for 6 or 8 weeks. He was talking about being a boxer, which would have been a horrible idea. And then
that showed.
What?
As that match showed.
As that match showed, and boy, doesn't history show it?
Yeah.
Phew. But yeah, I think that's what happened with him. Savage, I mean. Was it Jake? It would have been before Jake. I remember Savage and Jake. Let's see, what was it? He had the thing.
It was just after WrestleMania 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, he had the Steamboat match, and then what would have happened? I don't remember the program that Savage turned in.
I don't either. I honestly don't. I remember turning back very well. I mean, how could you?
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't. God, I don't know.
But I'm sure it was somebody did something to Elizabeth. It had to be. And somebody's got it. Somebody listening has got to know this one.
Yeah.
But I don't remember the angle where he turned heel. Where he turned back babyface. I mean, yeah, when he turned heel, I remember real well.
And I had one other question about the Judgment Day pay-per-view. If they go all the way with Bradshaw, in addition to the buy rate being low, could you see the attendance being hurt? Because even though it is, market, they're asking people to pay a couple $100 for tickets, for good tickets, and the fact that WrestleMania is coming, people may skip the show.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see it might be a tough sell. L.A. is like an interesting market. I mean, if it's not hot, it's not going to sell out. Mm-hmm. And SmackDown is not hot, and Eddie Guerrero all by himself with no support, I don't know that that's strong enough.
Yeah. All right, well, that's all I had, guys. Thanks a lot.
Okay, you're very welcome. That will be very interesting, actually, to see if they can, if they don't sell out Los Angeles, especially because, everyone knows that Mania is going to be there.
Right.
All right. Let's go to James in Louisiana. James, what's going on?
Yeah, Dave, I was just wondering if you knew whatever happened to Ahmed Johnson.
He's in Texas, isn't he? He stopped wrestling. I know he tried acting for a while.
Didn't he get into commercials?
I don't know. That's Terry Tate Office linebacker was Lester Spade.
Right. But I'm thinking he got some too.
He may have. He did a little bit of acting. I think he may have been arrested once as well. But yeah, he just pretty much dropped out of wrestling after the WWE thing, except for, remember when he came back as, was it Big T in WCW for a very little...
Yeah, he was kind of really...
Bruce brought him in.
Yeah, and he was horrible.
I think if he would have stayed in good shape, he could have been good for WCW. He wasn't a good wrestler, but he did have a good look.
Yeah. Somebody just said it was Honky Tonk Man who turned Savage babyface. Of course it was.
Oh, that's right.
Of course it was.
Can I ask you another quick question?
Oh, that was pretty famous, too.
Yeah, that's one that, now
I feel bad.
Yeah.
Can I ask one more quick question?
Sure.
Is there going to be another tributes coming out?
Yes, there is. Hopefully towards the end of the year, yeah.
Thanks a lot, Dave.
Okay, you're very welcome. We are going to go to DJ in Boston. DJ, what's going on?
Hi, good evening, guys. My first question is, out of curiosity, does anyone have any idea what position Brock Lesnar intends to play in the NFL?
Oh, my God. Defensive line, right?
That's a defensive line, or I heard center on the offensive line, because supposedly the theory was that you can win that position a little quicker than some of the other ones.
Okay.
I haven't heard much more since the Vikings haven't said a whole lot about him. Didn't take much interest in him. I haven't heard much more speculation about it since then.
Because he seems like he might be a little undersized for the line, but maybe not quite fast enough for a linebacker. But I don't know.
He's too big for a linebacker. I mean,
right. Not enough mobility.
Yeah.
And I know WWE has an offer on the table for Goldberg. Do they need him now, in your opinion, with all the departures, particularly on SmackDown?
I think that Bill Goldberg going to SmackDown as a heel right now would be a great move. I think it would really shore up the roster. I mean, Bill Goldberg and Eddie Guerrero wouldn't be a great match either, but at least it's probably something that Eddie Guerrero could sink his teeth into, and Bill might like it as well. Bill might have a problem. I mean, if they got to, understand, make him understand what he needs to do. But, Bill can be a heel now. The people will boo him, obviously, as we've seen at Mania, and it's the right time for it. But the bottom line is I don't think he's coming back.
Okay. Also, why do you think that both Matt and Lita are getting buried on Raw? Is there a reason, or? Matt,
I really don't think there's a reason. Lita kind of got lapped by the rest of the girls. When she came back, the other girls were better. She was really over when she came back. I mean, the people like her. There's, that thing with her, but the ring, and they really judge on in the ring. I mean, amazingly for a Vince McMahon company. And, the girls like Victoria and, Trisha's out of the ring right now, but, Victoria and the girls that they're pushing, as the focus, Molly Holly, they're a lot better wrestlers.
And, also, didn't she catch some heat for that book? Being a little too honest in her book?
It very well could have. I don't know that. I've joked about that with Matt Hardy and Lita, because they were so honest in that book. And then all of a sudden, they've kind of been both forgotten. And their book sold well, too. Matt, one of the problems also with Matt is that, and they're turning Matt back babyface finally, is that, no matter what they did to make Matt a heel, the people would always cheer him. And so they, I don't know. But still, I mean, I don't see them pushing Matt as a big babyface on Raw either.
I guess at least bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, well, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, in the last 6 or 8 months, I've noticed like a complete 180-degree turn in how Vince and the company do things. I don't know if it's Heyman in his ear. What do you think is the number one reason why they're doing that?
I think it's probably Hunter in his ear. More than Heyman, because Heyman's not really in his ear that much. I mean, Heyman gives us suggestions, and they listen to some and they don't listen to others. But Hunter's the son-in-law. Hunter's the one who's in his ear, and the wrestlers. The thing is with the wrestlers, and also the guy who's in Hunter, who's Hunter's mentor. Not mentor, that's not the right word, but Hunter's confidant is probably Flair. And so you've got wrestlers thinking like wrestlers, and they respect work rate. And obviously, when you got N1 Guerrero as champions, that's not the old Vince McMahon philosophy.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Okay, you're very welcome, DJ. We're going to go to Simon in Indiana. Simon, what's happening?
How are you doing tonight?
Doing really good.
When Macho Man turned over is when he got married to Elizabeth and Jake would throw his snake on her and the Undertaker stepped in?
That was a different angle.
Oh, okay.
He got married to he was let's see, when they did that, he was already a babyface when they did the wedding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That was his turn would have been that turn after he turned back with Hogan, and then the next turn would have been he lost the retirement match to Warrior, and then Elizabeth ran in, so he left as a babyface. Then he started announcing, and they started goading him into the marriage thing. Then he did the marriage thing. He wasn't wrestling much, and kind of doing a retirement gimmick. And then when Jake did that, then he turned back babyface the second time. I think.
That must have been when the Undertaker first went to being babyface. He stepped in and
Undertaker. So now what happened with Undertaker? Yeah, Undertaker went with the babyface had that babyface feud with Jake as well. That may have been when maybe Warrior walked out and they threw Undertaker in there. Could that be right?
I think that is right.
I'm not sure.
I remember the wedding, and then they went.
Warrior and Jake had that big thing where he buried him and all that stuff, and they did the big turn. And then I think either Warrior left or Jake left. I just remember they didn't have the feud, and they may have plugged Undertaker in there, but I'm not positive about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know one of them turned at that point, so the Undertaker stepped in, and everybody looked at him as being a good guy.
Yeah.
Because he stopped Jake from throwing a snake on Elizabeth.
Yeah.
But anyway, I gave it a shot.
Okay, cool.
I want to thank you for about a month ago, letting me talk to Superstar Billy Graham. I want to really thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. He's doing real well, Billy Graham.
That's good to hear. I was really glad to hear he got inducted and everything went okay.
Yeah, that went real well. I think he was real happy to be there. I think he was it's a real boost, Bill, he went through a period where, nobody remembered him. And, now he's 61 or 61 years old now. And, he went back there and, all those guys that are there, 95% of the wrestlers maybe, grew up as wrestling fans there. And, they're the one, Billy would have been their childhood. So, I mean, it was a big thing to, like Spike Dudley and some of those people, the Dudley boys, to meet Billy Graham, and I think it really made Billy Graham feel good that, he's remembered and as a big deal in wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I still remember him from my childhood, and I'm only 36, and,
Yeah.
But I sure appreciate it. I want to tell you thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome.
All right, have a good night.
Okay, you too, Simon. Hey, Bruce, it really is amazing, and I think a lot of it has to do with Vince getting older, that, Vince was never a guy. I mean, and no promoters were really. I mean, except for maybe St. Louis and Sam Mushnick and Vern. Vern, they, and maybe that's because they were older. That really valued history. Vince.
Because he really didn't.
I mean, Vince shoved his. I mean, remember Jack Briscoe and Harley Race would come in and they'd whitewash their histories.
Or they just bring in somebody who's been seen all over the country. And change their name and change their gimmick and just pretend like no one ever seen them before. Nothing ever counted before you got into WWF, in the national expansion. And, now, I mean, that used to drive people crazy, and now he definitely has, an interest in, he still has an interest in writing history to his own benefit, but you don't have as much of, Andre the Giant passed the torch on to, Hulk Hogan, and skipping the entire NWA championship, lineage.
Well, I think some of that's Hunter because Hunter grew up as a fan of Flair, and so now Flair's history and everyone, you know what I mean? And also you got Paulie in there, and a lot of those guys came from ECW, so they respect, and they own all the tapes. So I mean, it's, you might as well, because you own the tape, you own the history.
But even the decision to buy the tape said something about that he wanted to preserve the history, and he wants it to be his. He wants to be part of that history instead of being, the only sports entertainment, Walt Disney guy, which is the way he was really positioning himself 15 and 20.
Oh, yeah. And he remember that period where he wasn't, and still they call it sports entertainment, but there was a period where, I don't promote wrestling.
Right.
And it's like, wrestling, that's, like that's what they do in Atlanta. I don't do that. I do whatever, sports entertainment. Yeah.
I mean, it is really, and I think that he is, he's not the most self-reflective guy that ever lived, and I think he's become a little bit more as time goes on. I do see him position himself as being, and in many ways he really is, the grand old man of wrestling, which I don't think he was interested in doing.
Well, I don't think he wants to hear that because I don't think Vince ever will think of himself as old. But
right.
But you know what?
I don't even mean old. I mean just the wise. I don't even know how to put it, the wise man. The guy's been there for whatever.
Well, he has. He's the last survivor. But you know an interesting thing now when we talk about that. The guys we talked about that were like into the history, the Vern Gagne, Paul Bosch, Sam Mushnick, right?
Right.
I wonder if they were so much. Actually, I think they actually were when they were 40. Well, they were. I shouldn't say that because it's like Vince wasn't when he was 40, but when those guys. So when I started watching wrestling, those guys were already old. But you know what? But they
came up as wrestlers too, though.
Well, not Sam, but Sam came up respecting wrestlers because Sam when he was young trained with the wrestlers, right. and Bosch and Vern were they were top wrestlers. So yeah.
Where Vince is a second-generation promoter more than, who wanted to, expand what that meant more than he respected the wrestlers. But now, now I guess, he's been in the ring, he's done all those things, and he's lived out his fantasies. I mean, if anybody's lived out their fantasies in pro wrestling, it's Vince McMahon.
Yeah, but he didn't live out his complete fantasy because the XFL didn't make it.
Well, that's true, too.
We're going to go to Augusta and Mark. Mark, what's going on?
Hey, bud, how are y'all? I want to talk a little bit about the Ric Flair and his cronies tonight.
Yes? Ric Flair.
Yeah, I just want to know, what do you think about him kind of changing his angle, going back to singles? I'd like to see him win the championship one more time.
There's a lot of people that really, and if they ever do it, it'll be like a big deal. But I don't know if they're going to go in that direction. I don't know that he'll ever win the championship. The tag title is, his role. I could, you never know. You never know. I mean, I don't know because if they do it, if he beats now it'd have to be after a babyface turn. Ric Flair as a heel winning the title over a babyface I don't think is good even though the people will pop for it and everything. I think when they do the Ric Flair turn and it's inevitable that they will and I think that when they do the Evolution split it should be Ric Flair with Hunter together feuding with Randy Orton and Batista which hopefully, if Batista makes it, because Batista's a big question mark. Orton, I think that they're pretty happy with. When that happens, if Randy Orton is the champion, then that's several years down the line. And by then, Rick may really be too old. He kind of is now in some ways, but people will accept it. But he'll turn into Terry Funk if he doesn't get out of the ring too, and where it just gets sad.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Sentimentally, I definitely see it, but. I don't know that you could do it. I don't know that you could do it at this point. And I also think that, he gets a lot of sentiment and he gets a lot of respect. And then if he was out there really on top and he wasn't living up to being Ric Flair or living up to what, their champions do now in the ring, then I think he could lose a lot too. I think it's real.
I think if he got it seriously, he would have to only hold it for a couple of weeks or a month.
Or you could do the deal where it's like his last time and win, lose, or draw, he's going to retire and maybe make something out of that. But I don't know that. I don't know. I think it's a long shot, and I don't know that it's the right thing necessarily for him. When I watch him, I'm afraid he wants to stay in forever, and
he does.
And that's
he does. Let's say he's in the ring I mean, I'm not talking about the age. I'm talking about his injuries. He's in the ring taking bumps that younger guys aren't taking, and, you know, when he shouldn't even be in the ring.
Right, and there's that possibility, that gamble that, you know, as great as he is and as durable as he is, all of a sudden he's not going to be durable at all again. You know, all of a sudden that one last bump is going to be the one too many, and, you know. Well,
that unfortunately is what I think will end his career, and it kind of worries me. Because,
yeah, it worries me too.
Because I don't think he'll get out any other way, because mentally, you know, he will always be, you know, like a step above most. And then the other part of it is that, you know, he's really become this thing as Ric Flair. You know, that he wasn't, in WCW he was to a lot of the fans, but they didn't treat him like it. But here, you know, I mean, he's, you know, I mean, especially with Hulk Hogan not around, he's the guy. You know, he's that link to your childhood, and he's still there, and he's still, you know, kind of good, and he's still kind of cool, and you know, I don't think there's the feeling that he wants to get out. Whereas in WCW, I could see him, you know, like, what am I even doing here? They don't respect me, type thing.
Yeah, he gets respect. He has a viable role and all that kind of thing. But I mean, it's gonna, you know, that part. It's going to be tough. I mean, it could be a TV thing where they get one night, but I don't know. I think it also would send some wrong messages down the card.
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, if it was a one-time thing, I don't think there's any wrestler who, if it's like, you know, one last chase of Ric Flair, they do the angle and he gets to win and then he'll lose it. I don't think anyone's going to resent it, because as a storyline, that storyline will work. Yeah. As a baby, Ric Flair chasing as a babyface one time, just like it did Shawn Michaels, you know.
Right, like it did that night when they kind of did it all in one night with Triple H.
Yeah.
You know, the night where he kind of got his pride back, and you know they did the thing in Greenville. I mean, yeah, I mean it could work, but I mean I don't know. I don't know if it's going to come too, because I think also he wants to be in the shade of Triple H. There's a lot of protection there.
Yeah. Yeah, but Triple H will let him have it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go to Andrew in Greeley, Colorado. Andrew, what's going on?
Hi, first time caller. Just a quick question. What is the deal with Scott Steiner?
He's got a hip flexor and groin injury.
Hip flexor and groin injury.
Yeah.
Okay, and is he ever gonna use him for the main event ever, or
I
just
don't think so. I think that they've given up on that. He came in and he got that great reaction, but the first time he was in a main event with Triple H, it went downhill real fast.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of.
Yeah. I mean, if he's around, if they use him, it's going to be, you know, at best in the role that he was in, and I don't even know they're going to bring him back, because they just, I mean, you know, in any kind of a strong position.
He's been physically diminished for a long, long time now.
Yeah. He's been hurting for years. I mean, his back and everything has just been shot.
Gee. Okay, well, thanks a lot, guys.
Okay.
Taking it. Thanks.
Yeah. He's got a great presence, but Jeff in Prospect.
Hey, Dave, real quick, about Savage's first face turn. It was like June or July of 1987. They had him on house shows working a heel against Hogan, and they had him on TV kind of in between working a program with Honky Tonk Man. And I think it was like a Saturday night's main event show or something where they had him getting triple teamed by Honky Tonk and the Hart Foundation, and Elizabeth ran Bat Hogan come and save him, and I think that was his face turn.
That's right. And didn't they, like, I'm trying to remember, wasn't there a spot where like Honky Tonk was going to threaten Elizabeth and then Hogan came out or something?
Yeah, with his guitar.
Right, yeah.
Oh, real quick, why is it that they don't think that they can find anything for Sean O'Hare, but they think Nick Dinsmore will get over with an autistic gimmick?
I don't think they think Nick Dinsmore's going to get over.
Then why even bother?
There's the question.
Sometimes they do things. It's like Rico. You know what I mean?
Just one of those gimmicks that'll sell merchandise, but
it doesn't sell merchandise. I mean, what merchandise does Rico sell? I mean, Rico, you know, it's like I feel so embarrassed to try to sell people on Rico because of just how bad he's done. But you know what? He was good. You know, good worker and good personality. He was great in OVW, and they just saddled him with this gimmick. And it was death gimmick. And Eugene, I think they think it's like a funny gimmick, but won't take advantage of Dinsmore's wrestling strength, and it'll certainly be limiting. I'm certainly never going to move that high up the card with that gimmick.
Are we going to see him on Raw tomorrow?
I don't know when he starts. I mean, it should be any week now, though. Yeah, it could be tomorrow.
All right, thanks.
Okay, very welcome. We are out of time. I want to thank everyone for calling. I want to thank Bryan, of course, for being here first hour. Bruce, pleasure to have you on.
Anytime.
Okay, and we will see everyone next week. We're going to have Raven next week as our guest. You're listening to the Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network.